See, there we go. Hi, meditation. Freaky, right? I want to tell you something about meditation. How I use it and how I manifested my dream reality because of it. I used to have $4 million in debt. I used this arm actually was just an appendix. It was like this for 10 years because I have an inoperable blood clot. Had. That is not there anymore. Doctors are scratching their heads, but it's the proof is in the pudding, as it were. And I've seen things manifest in my life that is inexplicable by many. I lost my daughter and my fiance to deportation, got them back. I spent 3 years in prison facing suicide. I did a lot of weird stuff, and that has made me navigate a lot of things. I've navigated many spaces that most people might not do. And when I lost my daughter and my fiance, I needed to get them back. And in that space, I learned to meditate. And I learned about quantum physics and epigenetics and psychedelics and a lot of things that further improved my brain. Now, I used this as a way to project myself, to manifest my higher self, to sometimes actually see the future or create my future. And I'm gonna explain the science behind why I do what I do and how I see it working, because this is important. Don't get offended by what I say. Take what I say as a brick of information that you add to your foundation. The more you know about a subject, the more you can explain a subject, the more the more you can see it, understand it, and then make up your mind about it. Don't just attack because this goes against something that you believe. I want to explain how meditation works in forms of manifestation. So there's a lot of different techniques into this, and it's almost impossible to say, do this technique and you're going to have this result, because meditation is a very individual practice, as far as I see. You are navigating your mind, your brain, your thoughts, your memories. So for someone else to say what works and what doesn't is kind of null and void. I guess the information is not really valuable. You have to try different things, but there are some things, some tools that you can use to further expedite the process. For instance, there are binaural beats that will talk to your brain on two different frequencies. So they are talking to your subconscious. There are also these theta and alpha sounds that will create this weird while you're meditating, just to keep your brain alert while you're being guided throughout your meditation. So a lot of people would sit down and just try and meditate alone. Of course, many people sleep when they do that. Some people actually meditate while they're sleeping, or they say that they meditate by lying down and then being silent for 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden they're snoring. Meditation is about having that small discomfort, in my eyes, so that you don't fall asleep, so that your body is relaxed and having that rest. It's shifting the roles. When you're sleeping, your brain is having a break. Your body is actually alert. It's ready for that saber-toothed tiger to come out of the woods. So you are still alert. You're still kind of on the standby because you have to keep safe. So you're breathing heavily when you're sleeping so that your entire system has oxygen enough to just pop out right at the saber-tooth vault, basically. When you're meditating, you're switching that around. So your body is relaxing and your brain is active, although it's also getting the same effects as you would have in REM sleep. So you're way into your brain, throwing out the bathwater, if you will. So you can actually take meditation and regain sleep, which is very, very helpful. When you're in meditation, you can also start to visualize. Now, your brain does not know the difference between what's thought and what is reality. And because of that, you can start to really have fun. When you visualize something, your brain will start to see this, and your reticular activating system, your sorting mechanism in your brain, will start to see these things in your reality. So you'll notice things that you're seeing as let's say that you are picturing something that you want in life. Some result, some scenario, some higher self. And you have this perfect vision of it. And then in your life, you're starting to notice these things that is correlating with that vision. So now it's like, I need to check that out. So you're subconsciously making decisions based on the vision that you have in your head. You have programmed yourself to go down a specific route. That alone is almost like manifestation. Now, if you didn't know that before, now you know how to start cultivating a habit that is going to lead you to a result that you want and desire, based in science. Neurogenesis and neuroplasticity means that Genesis is the birth of new neurons. You are forming new neurons in a new habit if you're starting to pick up meditation or if you're doing something over a long period of time. Neuroplasticity means that it can form, so you can fade away old habits and regain new ones and then actually literally biologically shape your brain as how you want it. Science. Now let's talk about science on a deeper level. Where are your thoughts when you're not thinking about them? Your memories, where are they when you're not actively thinking about them? This is a question that is probably going to seem a little out there, and it is. And let me shift your reality a little bit. If you didn't know about this, you might change your life right now. We always thought that atoms were empty. 99.9999999999999% empty space. We have also figured out that space is not empty. Picture it as full instead, and that this emptiness is actually vibrations. And these vibrations are subatomic particles, subatomic quantum fluctuations vibrating in a vacuum on a Planck scale. These are the tiniest of tiny until we find the next tiny. And they are creating energy by the vibration. This makes them a black body. They are absorbing any and all information or radiation, and they are also creating their own. For instance, while you've been listening to this, you have been breathing, your heart has been pounding, and your eyes have been blinking, but you have not kept count of that because it goes automatically. Well, that is run by something, right? The same with the black hole. That is run on the same thing. It's a black body. It sucks in everything and is also creating energy. The Hawking radiation. We can see this. And when we see that as the black hole is literally us in the macro as we are in the micro, so we are just a composition of black holes in this instance, right? Then we are part of everything else. We are a part of all of it. Everything. There is radiation and electromagnetic frequencies all over the universe and the cosmos, right? We know about the Schumann resonance. We know that something is vibrating at 5.83 hertz. We know the vibrations of oceans. We know the vibrations of mountains. We can actually measure this. We know that if we remove our shoes and stand on ground, we can actually measure the currency that is being led through our collagen in our bodies. We are, what is that word? We're leading a current. Let's just, conductive. We're conductive. Yeah. Now that means that we can literally connect, right? Ground ourselves. But we use shoes through the entire day. We're driving around on cars on rubber wheels, and we're sleeping in elevated beds. So we are kind of never in contact with nature anymore. And because of that, people seem to disregard what we're actually capable of. Now in meditation, because of this field, because of this vibration, you can actually interact with it. Because you are visualizing and your brain does not know the difference between reality and thought, this thought, the memory, the thing that you're not thinking about, where it's stored might be in the information, the quantum fluctuations around you at all times. It's like quantum computing. The information is stored around the device, not in the device. Picture that in the field around you. Now, as you think of the thought, poof, it just flies into your head and it hits your hypothalamus. In your hypothalamus is like a factory. So it takes out amino acids and proteins to form something that is going to be tangible. This intangible thought is now a tangible neuropeptide that resembles that thought. So if you had a thought, and if you had an experience or something associated with it, so let's say that you're fearful, you experienced a lot of fear, you had a thought, that comes into your brain, into your hypothalamus, that neuropeptide then is coded, signatured with that emotion. Now, that neuropeptide gets shot out of your hypothalamus in search of a cell. A cell does three things. It eats, it shits, and it multiplies. When that cell gets hit by a neuropeptide, the neuropeptide infects it. That feeling, that signature is now in the cell. It multiplies. It goes across your entire body and you feel overwhelmed by fear. You are crippled. You don't know what to do. You're starting to cold sweat. You're literally being overthrown by a thought that you had. Right? Follow me? Now, this is where it gets interesting because your heart has 40,000 neurons in it. It communicates. It remembers. It feels. Not dependent on your brain. They are two separate systems that works in unison. So we know this because a 8-year-old girl, and don't don't quote me on this. It might be like I might mess up the years or whatever, but the event happened. So a 8-year-old girl died. Her heart was transplanted to a 10-year-old girl who all of a sudden started to have these horrendous nightmares. Now their mother took her to a psychologist or psychiatrist or therapist, whatever. And she made her go through this dream. And she was so detailed about it. The name, the face, how it happened, everything. So they took her to a police sketch artist. This artist drew a face with a name. They put out an 8PB, and all of a sudden they have caught a person who admitted to killing an 8-year-old girl in the exact same way that the dream told. That is pretty amazing. That tells us that the heart remembers. That the heart has something of the host that will carry with it. The heart brain, 40,000 cells, brain cells on your heart. It's a little engine, right? So it's producing electromagnetic frequency. Now, this is felt by you if you are vibrating on a high frequency, if you're happy, if you're horny, if you're in awe, if you're amazed, if you are vibrating high and you go into a room full of catastrophic thinkers, negative thinkers, naysayers, all those people say, oh, it's Monday again, I hate going to my job. Those people. Then you can feel that. You can feel yourself being pulled down, and they can feel themselves being pulled up because you are dragging them up from the pit. They are low vibrating, your high vibration is sucking them up to your level, but they're also dragging you down. So you're feeling bad, they're feeling better. Now, if you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people, magic happens, literally, because this energy, this frequency is aligning all over the place. Because of that, and the electromagnetic field that goes around everywhere, that is connected to everything, we know that we can connect to something more than ourselves. We can also take EEG scans. We can see that we have an electromagnetic field that we can measure and see around us. Chakras and biowells, meaning that we can see this chakra around us and they can see this aura, right? Sometimes that aura might be spotty. And if science have shown us, they can drink water that has been blessed and they can feel better. They can replenish the aura. This happens because Masaru Emoto, who is a Japanese scientist, I think, figured out that water actually reacts to your emotions. So positivity makes water molecules form into beautiful fractal snowflakes, and you can freeze them and see that this is happening in real time. You can also see that a negative thought will have water feel bad and look sickly. We are mostly water. Keep that in mind. And we also know that our plants can hear our thoughts due to Cleve Baxter and his lie detecting school, because he knew that by putting probes of lie detection seismographs, I don't know, the thing, on a plant, he could measure it. He thought about hurting the plant. The plant was, don't do that. And then something started. He started to experiment more and more and more, and he saw that we are actually transmitting these things and they are picking it up. Again, proof that there is something more around us than we might think. Then, because we're talking about meditation, this is where it gets interesting. There is something called the Copenhagen double slit experiment. The whole thing is a light source, a wall in the middle, and a tracking wall on the back to see what goes through, right? With one slit in that wall, the light that went through is a particle. But they wanted to measure drag and all this stuff about the reality as we know it. 2 slits created a wave out of that particle. The particle became a wave. That changed everything. Our universe is composed of fluid dynamics, which means that not everything was as we thought. We also know about quantum entanglement, where a thing is 2 places at the same time, 14 miles apart. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there are things that we might not think about all the time. Because you can go from a particle to a wave, though. Let's say that you right now, I'm a particle. If I go into meditation, and you have meditated for a long time, if you know that you can pop out, if you feel like, right? When you go into the zone, in the bubble, if you have meditated for a long time and you know about this, you know the feeling. Consider yourself a wave at that moment. And then if we think about astral projection, a very known phenomena, you know that people can travel to other distant places in the galaxy and everywhere, and they can see things that they have never seen before because they are there. They're probably traveling as a wave on this electromagnetic field that is encompassing the Earth or the cosmos, don't you think? That's my theory, and that's really interesting. Now, because of this, I have started to go into deep meditation techniques to see what works. And I found that the alpha and theta waves or sounds are really helpful. And by experiencing this and practicing this once every day, multiple times a day, you will see that there's something here. But it's gonna require effort. You can't just sit down and 2 minutes, I'm done. It requires work, which is what I love about it, because it's a skill. It's something that we build over time, and we can consciously manifest our dream reality. So, I hope this opened your eyes as to what meditation is. There are levels upon levels upon levels upon levels of more scientific data and experiences and evidence to back this whole thing up. But I think what I just shared should be enough to make you think differently about meditation. And if it did, I'm glad. Go out there and explore the universe, you crazy astronaut, you. Because it's amazing. And it's real. It's a science behind law of attraction, as far as I'm concerned. See, this is where we go back to the thing that this is my personal belief, but it is based on peer-reviewed science, scientific experiments, my own experience. I don't know how many books I've read about this. It's taken me some time to get to the level of knowledge that I'm at right now. But it's still my personal belief. So take it with a grain of salt. And if you choose to use it, safe travels. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, but it's worth it. Have a fantastic day.